Hello, this is Roland. Today I want to talk about marriage a little bit because over these years, 25 years now, that I've been on the radio and been helping folks on the internet and on the radio, writing articles and blog posts and books. The topic that seems to always come up is the topic of relationships. Okay, and I can see that um, the way you handle your relationship with your husband or your wife, and with your kids too, but I'm talking about relations between men and women right now, marriage, can basically determine your destiny, whether you make the grade or not, whether you have a happy life or not, whether you develop character or not. So let's talk about it. First of all, marriage. There's the old joke where somebody said marriage is like a three-ring circus. Marriage is like a three-ring circus. That's the old joke. Have you heard it? Here's how it goes. Marriage is like a three-ring circus. First, the engagement ring, then the wedding ring, then the suffering. Okay? So we all get married for the wrong reasons. And then once we're married, then we have an opportunity to learn to be unselfish. Okay? Purpose of marriage is to bring children into the world. Okay? And then secondarily, it's like boot camp. It's like training. Okay? Men, you have to learn to be unselfish. Remember your wedding vows, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer. So men have, what do men have a problem with? Problem with lust, problem with anger, or the two go hand in hand. The man gets angry at his wife, okay, and then he feels these strange feelings rising up. Animal feelings, see? Whenever we fall, the animal rises as compensation. See, the spiritual, when we fail spiritually, the animal rises up to compensate. So that's why whenever you become resentful, see, or you get caught in a lie or something, then how do you compensate? With anger. See, anger. Now, originally, humans were, we are part heaven and part earth, part ephemeral, part material. See, we're actually the jewel of creation. You wouldn't realize that by when you see people the way they look, okay, and the way they act. See, you walk around and look at people now and see how they've been degraded. Okay, but human beings are part heaven and part, well, we're either part heaven or part hell, and part material. We're supposed to be, but for sure we're spiritual beings with a body. We're spiritual beings with a body. So that's why there are principles, see, that govern our behavior. Spiritual principles. You can't just be an animal. Eat, drink, and be merry, and smoke marijuana, and be selfish. See, think about nothing but partying and eating and retirement. And see, we all know there's something more to life. It's because we have a soul. So, what happened? Well, the human race has a history. Okay, there's a history to the human race. It began in the Garden of Eden, which I can see that the Garden of Eden story is true because I see it replayed all around me. Man and woman come together. She's his Eve. She's his Eve. Okay? He's her Adam. She tempts him, okay, and he falls. Now, to get married, most women have to be a little bit of a temptress to catch a man. If she was very prim and very proper, very dignified and noble, why, she would scare him off. He would feel embarrassed and intimidated. See, so she has to be a little bit of a temptress in order to entice a man. Just like when you're fishing, you put something on the hook, and then you have to move it around a little bit in order to entice the fish to come and bite. You see. So then she catches a man, and she sees that he has some faults, but she hopes that when they're married, he can overcome them. Or she figures that she can whip him into shape. Okay. Now, men get married also for the wrong reasons. Usually he falls in lust. See? And she supports his ego. She's real good at supports. There's something about her that supports his ego. Just like his mother supported his ego. Okay? Comforted him when he went out in the world and failed. See? Well, now he marries her because she excites his ego, excites his animal, and comforts his ego. And she puts her blessing, her imprimatur on his animal nature. See, our animal nature came into being out of a failing. Humans, I think, were originally meant to be live forever, and probably not to have to eat, and probably were non-sexual beings originally. Okay, but what happened? Well, Adam fell. He failed. The animal grew up to compensate. See, and then he changed, didn't he? Adam changed. If you read the beautiful in the lost books of the Bible, they tell the story of the Garden of Eden, the full version. See, what we get in the Bible is an adumbration, a shortened version of it. You really, if you want to read the whole story, you get the lost books of the Bible, and then you can see he lived a long time. What, 900 years? And he changed during those 900 years, and then he died. Okay, so the sexuality, see, reproduction. The idea that instead of being able to live forever, see, somehow through the tree of life and being close to God, living forever, okay, on this earth, in the body, part spiritual and part spiritual and part earth, part material, living in the body on this earth forever. But when Adam fell, then he could no longer live forever. Now he had to procreate, so that when he died, his offspring would continue. See, so in a way he can still live forever, but through his offspring. See, so the reproduction is a compensation. Okay, so that's why whenever you fail, then you feel more sensuous. Okay, you go to a naughty party with naughty people around, or a naughty staff meeting somewhere, and then what? Then you feel more sensuous, don't you? See, so we become more animal when we fail. See, then we want to, then we start thinking about sex, or we start thinking about food, or alcohol, or whatever. See, so we failed and we eat. Okay, so Adam failed. Instead of being noble, honorable, doing the right thing, obeying his father, and not doubting, he doubted God. See, and he listened to his wife instead, and her words were coached by the serpent. He reached for the forbidden thing. He was tempted, and he failed. See, he could have said, let's put the apple down. Let's not eat the apple. Father says we're not supposed to eat the apple. He could have said that, but he didn't. Instead, he went for it, went for the temptation, because he wanted to be he was ambitious. See, he didn't love God, didn't love his wife, he loved himself. He imagined himself being big man of some sort, successful, powerful. See? So he was tempted and he fell. And so there you have that. So ever since then, men have been failures. Okay, every man, myself included. That includes, of course, your father, who failed your mother. See, and your grandfather and everybody else, everybody around you, men are failures. Very compensated. See, to make up for what they don't have spiritually. Well, okay, so then how about the ladies? Well, the ladies, her problem, what's the ladies' problem often? Judgment. Judgment and resentment. But let's focus on judgment. She can't help but judge failing men. Her father failed her, wasn't there for her. She went out into the world looking for love. Instead of finding love, she found use and abuse. See? So she resents men. And then when she's married, then what? She resents her husband. She begins to see all of his faults, which she knew he had faults before they were married, but now they start to grate on her nerves. She judges him and she tries to whip him into shape. So she wants to be his boss, to get him in shape, to motivate. Oh, and the other thing is he becomes dependent. See, because he's not God-centered. He's woman-centered. His mother, his wife, other women, other womanly men, or substitute temptations like work, money, alcohol. See? Gambling. They're all substitute temptations. But the main temptation in his life, see, is the woman to whom he falls. Instead of being the noble man, taking his wife's hand and leading her to paradise. Instead, he looks to her. See, he should look to God. He should be on his knees before God. But then stand tall in the world and be noble, long-suffering, patient, kind, courageous, principled, honorable. All those beautiful virtues he would have. And she would respect him for that. See, she would respect him. But instead, he looks to her to support his ego. And then he becomes dependent on her support. If she withdraws her support, or if she withdraws her fix, his sex fix, then he becomes like a crazed animal. See, like a drug addict. She's his drug. He's using her. And she feels used. See, women feel used. See. So there is of course sex with love. Okay, there is. The man has to learn has to find that. So he loves her as a person instead of using her. Okay, then there'll be less sex, but it'll be more satisfying. It'll be upgraded. It'll be beautiful. And the children will come into the world and they will be beautiful. But alas, many marriages, they become what? Two selfish people, squabbling and fighting and resenting each other, and then feeling guilty and making up and then feeling guilty, see, over and over again. And they become codependent. How's that? Okay, first of all, he becomes dependent on her support, unless he transfers it to his boss or to some other woman. Or see what I mean? But underneath he resents her. See, and because she's his God, see, and he looks to her to support his ego becomes dependent on her support. So he resents her for that, because he sees that he's in a weakened position, and he sees that she's taking liberties, and he sees that she doesn't have any respect for him. So he tries to be nicer, walks around on eggshells, tries to be a people pleaser, and have everybody like him. See, which makes he becomes even weaker. Now he becomes dependent on other people liking him, and they don't respect him. So when they don't respect him, he can sense that that's not good, so he becomes resentful, which is another failing, or angry, which is another failing. So he just keeps failing. And his wife resents him for his failing. But you see, here's the thing. She resents him, judges him, but then she feels guilty for the resentment and the judgment. So then she tries to be extra nice and to serve him out of guilt, to make up for for the guilt for judging him and resenting him. But then when she's nice to him, supportive and so on, then he becomes what? Even more of a spoil. He becomes like a big kid or a spoiled animal. He becomes weaker. And she sees that her love, instead of making him into a prince, is making him into a frog. And she resents seeing that. She doesn't like seeing that. She thinks she has her love. Her love, she thinks, can transform him and make everything good. But she finds out that her love, okay, he becomes worse for it. Okay. So the solution is, of course, for one or both of them to wake up. The man, see, ideally the man should wake up and see that he's selfish, realize that he's selfish, and be sorry about what he sees about himself. Perhaps his suffering of his wife and his kids, his family, see, because of his weakness. And then he puts her in charge. See, that's the other thing. He's weak, he puts her in charge in everything, or see, or she pretends that he's in charge, but she's really in charge, instead of centered on the man, and the man, see, above him should be the authority of Christ and God, see? Then it would be a proper hierarchy. Then his love would be from God. It would come through him. His authority would be what? Principle, honor, see, character, because of his love of God, see, and his obedience. Okay, and then she would respect him for that. Okay? Now, so if he wakes up and sees that he's failing, okay, then he goes to his wife and he says, I realize that I've haven't been the man that I'm supposed to be, and I've been failing you, and I'm sorry. Okay? But from now on, things are going to be different. Okay? And then things are different. He cries out to God, cries out to God. And he goes in his room and closes the door, see, and asks God for answers. And then, and is sorry about what he sees about the mess and the selfishness, the mess he's made out of things, and the way his family's been suffering because of his selfishness. He sees that and he's sorry for it. He bears the pain of it, see, and looks only to God and not to other people for support. And then, see, he cleans up his act, throws away his addiction things, and starts to be the man, starts to function as the man, noble, character, with patience, with honor, with forbearance, with courage, wisdom, see? These things he can't find himself. They have to come from God. Only when he becomes God-centered and develops a rapport with God, see, then he begins to have those. Now now hopefully the wife also now, in light of his new found grace, that she begins to wake up also and realizes her role in the problem. See, she's played a part in the problem too, by being judgmental, resentful, okay, bossy, moody, see, angry at him and so on, and running everybody's life, trying to make him into a man, and running and ruining other people's lives. See, she has to begin to see some of those things and be sorry for those things. And then if she has that good husband, then then it's actually easy for her. It becomes easy. But what happens many times is that one wakes up first, the other one continues to be selfish. And then it maintains like that for a while. If it's the man that woke up and his wife continues to try to give him a hard time unnecessarily, and to tempt him and tease him and be naughty and so on, well, then that's even all the more reason. The more unreasonable she is, the more reason for him to be reasonable. See, See how that works? The more resentful she is, the more he is to be forgiving, patient. See? So on. So she becomes his see he's like she becomes his how can I say this? Um, she becomes a good foe for him. See, to test him and hopefully find him not wanting. So she gives him a hard time for weeks, months, years, decades. And he continues to go about his business, do the right thing. He's always there, he's always cheerful. See, he takes his proper role as the father and husband. Okay? And bears her onslaught with patience and without resenting her. That's the main thing. He doesn't resent her. Maybe she hates him, he doesn't hate her back. She resents him, he doesn't resent her back. She judges him, he doesn't judge her. See? And he's faithful and true and noble. The kids see that. They love that. They love it. They love seeing their father strong, not falling apart, not becoming resentful and angry, not running off to another woman or to the bottle or to gambling or some hiding in sports or, work. Not that work is wrong, but he's there for them, for they love father. Now, if the wife wakes up first and the husband remains selfish, it's very difficult, okay? Perhaps the main thing she can do is not resent him. See his failing, not resent him for it, not judge him, see? So his temptation, his weakness, see, is big temptation. And so it's a chance for her to practice being patient and not resentful, not resenting, not hating. See, not supporting him when he's wrong, but on the other hand, not giving him a unnecessary hard time when he's correct about something. You see what I mean? So it's like I said, it's good training. And should they both eventually wake up and give up their old ways of temptation and failing, then they can live happily ever after. It'll be beautiful. And if the one wakes up and the other one doesn't, well, then it's a chance to develop courage. And you can't quit on the other person because you never know. See, a lot of people have been horribly abused and used, taken advantage of, and fooled and tricked and disappointed terribly through their life. They've been traumatized by it. Now they don't trust anyone, especially she won't trust men. So his job is to be the good man, the normal man. Okay? And perhaps then she will see his nobility and then give up her resentment, her hatred of men. Perhaps by seeing the goodness in one man, she can then not hate all men. See? All right, well, I have a couple of books on the subject, which you all know, I'm sure. Myths and Mysteries of Marriage. It's a very, very good book. And also, I have a book called Putting the Forever Back in Love. They're both outstanding. They're available on Amazon or from me, for a small donation. So you can go to the website or to Amazon and you can preview them. You can read a chapter or two. I'm sure you'll see something good that will be helpful to you just doing that. Okay? My name is Roland.